All right, hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Amos, and we're going to be doing another stocks that are reporting their earnings this week. Part of the series that we've been doing for a few weeks now. Seems like you guys like it based on the feedback that you've been giving. And I always say, right, the earnings is a perfect opportunity for you to, check on the status or progress of a company that you are invested into, because this is something they have to do every 90 days. Like, are they pooping the bed? Are things looking good for them? Is it a rebound story? Is there headwinds coming their way? But also, it's an opportunity if you've been eyeballing a company like a creep, but you haven't invested into them. It's been on your watch list for a while, and the Wall Street or whatever, they overreact to something they said or something that's happening to them. It could be a really good buying chance. Buy on the dip, So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Monday, believe it or not, the stock market is closed. It's a national holiday. I think it's President's Day or something like that. So there's no companies that I think are important. There are a handful, but none of them that you would care about. So I thought it'd be a perfect opportunity for me to talk about a show that I just binge watched on Netflix. It's titled The Brother Son. Stupid, I know. Surface level, you're like, what the hell is this? But if you're at all into kung fu, like Bruce Lee movies, comedy, and action, this is going to be right up your butthole. It is solid. It's a show on Netflix, and it centers around the Taiwanese triads, which is essentially one of the biggest gang organizations around the world. And I don't want to give away too much, but basically the triad culture and the way of doing things, the way of life, but also a family that lives in Southern California that's trying to do it the American way, but then having to also be peer pressured back into the triad way of doing things, which is an opportunity for me to tell you a pretty funny story. So I used to be a model, right? Now I'm like a fat, ugly has-been, my hairline's receding, whatever. In my 20s, I was a model, and I had an opportunity to go to Malaysia for like 2 weeks, taking photos and doing photo shoots all over the country. And I had a buddy that was with me. I don't even know if he's a buddy. I guess we'll call him an associate, also a model. And I remember one time, I was so freaking tired after a full day's agenda and schedule, so I just wanted to take it easy. Right? Because this is like, 8 p.m. after a full day of getting makeup thrown on your face, people screaming at you saying, no, pose like this, no, pose like that. And I'm like, dude, oh my gosh. After a long day, I just wanted to have some tea, take it easy, maybe eat a skewer of meat or something, right? Mystery meat. By the way, Malaysia, you can't even have alcohol in most cities or regions. It's like straight out banned. So that was a culture shock in itself. Interesting. But that associate that I was with, he went to a nightclub by himself. I mean, he wanted me to go with him, but I was like, dude, I'm way too tired. I can't do this. So he went. And when you have just one too many drinks and you get that liquor courage going on and you feel like you can do anything in the world? Well, apparently some of the other folks that we were with, they went with him. And apparently he was just drunk, right? And I feel like when you drink too much, you don't exactly make the wisest decisions, right? And he was on the dance floor at this nightclub that's ran by the Chinese triads. And apparently there was this really pretty Chinese looking girl, all flirtatious and dancing with a few other girls. And he couldn't get the hint. She was like, leave me alone. I don't want any trouble. Do not talk to me. And he was persistent, right? It's that American arrogance. I don't even think he was American, now that I think about it. I think he was from Canada or something like that. But that arrogance, he's like, no, you're going to dance with me. I'm going to get your number. And you're going to come home with me. Something like that. And then I guess she was like, just leave me alone, right? After like 5 times rejecting the poor idiot who couldn't take a no or a sign like, hey, leave me alone. Idiot, right? Next thing you know, apparently there was like 20 Chinese triads that just popped out of nowhere at the nightclub and just started beating the living crap out of him. And I remember seeing him the next day, and I was like, dude, what the hell happened to your face? He literally had 2 black eyes, a broken nose, and like a broken rib. And so basically, long story to say, I I guess that was kind of like my indirect experience with quote unquote the Chinese triads, an associate model of mine getting their ass beat. So I don't know, just the story to throw out there. But anyways, if you are into that show, Warrior, that the one that Bruce Lee's daughter was producing and directing, I still live it. I'm pissed off that it was canceled. But if you're into that show, Warrior, I think you would really like The Brother's Son. Believe me when I say the poster, it looks stupid. I agree. But when you watch it, it's pretty deep. Okay? Anyways, moving on, let's talk about Tuesday. What do we have on Tuesday? So we have Baidu, which, if you don't know what this is literally the Chinese equivalent of Google. Because in China, you can't use Google as a search engine. And as far as I'm concerned, China does censorship, right? So you can't even use YouTube. So people in China, they've probably never heard of dividend compounders with cheese. But anyways, all that to say, when it comes to Baidu, for the Chinese population, whether you live in a rural area or an urban city like Shanghai, Baidu is the go-to search engine. And their revenue model, very similar to Google, right? They get money from advertisements that pop up alongside with your search results. They have a monopoly, basically. However, I don't know if Baidu has their own equivalent form of a YouTube, but that's Baidu in a nutshell. There's Medtronic, which, I don't know, they've been going through a pickle lately, but alongside with all the other medical devices companies like Davita, Edward Life Sciences, everyone's struggling right now, so I don't know. And then there's Fluor, which is an engineering and construction company, not too interested. And then there's Conagra Brands. So if I have a company highlighted, for one reason or another, I will be keeping my eye on them. It's because I'm invested into them, or I'm just curious how they're doing, or because they've been on my watch list and I'm trying to, pull the trigger. I'm not trying to be that wishy-washy, like, should I go in now? Should I wait? Like, if the opportunity arises, that's when I'm going in. So Conagra Brands. Why? Why is this one highlighted? So just like every other food CPG stock that's out there right now, like Campbell's, Hormel, Kellanova, you name it, they're basically on a dip right now, right? And for me, I just feel like this is a really good opportunity. Not all of them are created the same, and not all of them are equal. Some of them are going to be going further into the red. But some of the companies that are a food CPG operator, they're going to recover, and they're going to be fine and dandy in like 3 to 5 years from now. Case in point, I think one of them might be Conagra. So funny enough, just for nipples and giggles, I literally bought a handful of shares sometime earlier this week. And I don't know, right? They make frozen meals in the grocery aisle. They have a tomato sauce for pasta that would literally piss off the Italians that are watching this. They'd be like, dude, absolutely not. And I think the tomato paste is called Hunt's or something like that. Me, our family, we personally, we use Hunt's. But also, again, I'm not Italian. So there's that. Like, my version of what is good Italian, I know this might be very offensive, like me just pulling on your right nipple, tugging it pretty hard, but I think Olive Garden is pretty good. And I know it's not true Italian, but man, it's pretty good. And then there's also a fancier version called Maggiano's. It's a chain that's all over the U.S. that I think is pretty spectacular too. So that's my version of what Italian food is. I'm not cultured. I'll agree with you. I've never had authentic Italian food, so I don't know if it's good or bad. And they also do hot dogs, and they do popcorn and a whole bunch of snacks. And their financials and fundamentals, not that bad. And I think their dividend yield is probably closer to like 5.5%. It's sustainable. It's growing at a pretty good rate. And I bought into it. I truly think they're undervalued right now. And in like 5 years, it'll probably be 2x'd. Right, it'll probably jump up from $24 to like $48. I could be wrong because I'm absolutely an idiot, but that's what I think. And I don't want to say case in point. And to emphasize how much of an idiot I am, when I was 18 years old and I was in college, I was going through this like weird phase of where I felt lonely and desperate, right? Because I was at a predominantly male military college, and dude, I just wanted affection. right? I just wanted someone to like me for who I was. And so I fell in love with a girl, and after, talking to her for a while, because she was like, oh, you're so cute, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, okay, maybe she's feeling me. I find out she's a freaking lesbian. So I took that as like a sign of like a quest or a mission where maybe she's playing hard to get. Maybe I can be the one to change her opinion. She was a lesbian. I didn't understand that I can't turn her straight. And that's how big of an idiot I am. So that's the same kind of logic and reasoning with Conagra Brands. The same idiot that's investing into Conagra is the same guy who thought he could turn a lesbian, to being straight. Obviously, I couldn't get it done. When I look back at that story, I'm like, dude, you are so stupid. But I guess you live and you learn. So one piece of advice that I would give to a younger male is if somebody's a lesbian and you fall in love with them, dude, just move on. You're literally wasting your time. She's not into hot dog wieners, right? They're more so into clamshells and taco shells. You can't change someone's, preference. But anyways, what else do we have on Tuesday? We also have Arista Networks, not really caring too much about this company. And then there's also Occidental Petroleum, right? This one right here gets so much hype and attention because of the whole Warren Buffett buying into him. And he's pretty bullish on the company, which I tried my best. I was like, dude, what do you see, old man? I do not see what he sees. I think they're overvalued, and this company, not that good. I mean, of course, they have a bigger economies of scale in terms of like the oil and gas industry of what they're doing, but I don't know. I don't see the vision that he sees in this one. However, on the flip side, if I were to invest into the oil field, which I'm not currently, but if I were to, based on my limited research, I would rather go with Devon Energy, the one that you see below it. They're also reporting on Tuesday. Reason being is that I did my deep dive and my homework on this company, and I think they're actually undervalued. They're probably one of the best pound for pound, solid upstream players in the oil and gas space right now. If you want to know why I just said that stupid statement, you should watch my deep dive video that I made on Devon Energy. I think this one right here, a lot of people are sleeping on. I think this is the one that Warren Buffett should have gone balls deep into. This one, I just don't understand. I just can't bless this decision right here. What else do we have? There's a home building company here. We also have Bumble, which is a dating app. And when I think about dating apps, I'm not bullish. Like, yes, that is kind of the trend and the direction that this new generation is going towards. Whenever I meet, someone in their early 20s or mid 20s, here I am trying to sound like an old guy. I'm in my mid 30s. I'm not that old, okay? The voice, some people confuse me. Maybe I'm gay. Maybe I'm like 18. No, I'm in my mid 30s. But whenever I meet a younger person in their 20s or whatever, and they introduce me to their significant other, 9 out of 10 times, this new generation that's coming up, Gen Z and Alpha, and I guess the newest babies now are going to be called Beta. Can you imagine being born in 2025 and being labeled the Beta generation? Dude, that sucks. That's literally setting you up for failure. But anyways, 9 out of 10 times, these kids are now meeting each other through dating apps. So like Tinder, Grindr, Bumble, coffee and a bagel, a nipple and a belly button, whatever it is, that's the medium that they're choosing to meet their significant other. So I guess there is an investing thesis there, but I don't know. I'm just not bullish on it because also included in that 9 out of 10 times, they also utilize platforms like TikTok or Instagram or even on Meta, just cold approaching and adding someone a friend request and just saying, hey, I think you're cute. So what I'm trying to say is I don't really think there's an economic moat surrounding these dating apps. I guess if you are in your 40s, you're a divorced single mom of 3 kids, and you're serious about dating, of course it makes sense for her, right? To pay for the premium, the subscription, to only get like serious matches. So I do see like a demographic or a customer base, but by and large, I'm not really bullish on. And then also on Tuesday, this company right here, ticker symbol IFF. international flavors and fragrances. I did a deep dive on last year because I was interested in them, right? They went on this massive sell-off where they essentially lost like 50% of their market cap in a single week. I was like, what the hell is going on? Is this company going bankrupt? Is this company, terrible? I guess I should back up and kind of introduce who the heck they are. So IFF, basically anything and everything that has a fragrance or a scent when we talk about perfumes, colognes, shampoos, soaps, lotions, air fresheners for your dingy little Honda Civic that you drive around that you hate, but you keep anyways because you're frugal, cleaning products, laundry detergents like Downy, Tide, or even candles, diffusers, and anything else that has a smell to it. This company is in the business of, trademarking and researching, like vanilla, cinnamon, or like a winter blast. Whatever it is, they're the ones that are developing and coming up with those scents. And I was like, dude, that actually sounds like a pretty cool business model. But once I started looking into them, their financials and fundamentals, was not a fan. So I was like, dude, I'm not going to be investing into this one. So if you've never heard of this company before, at least now you kind of know what it is, on a high level. Let's move on to Wednesday. Wednesday, I think it gets pretty busy. Yes, pretty busy. We have Etsy, which is an how do you describe Etsy to someone who's never heard of it? It's kind of like a e-commerce platform. I guess it's kind of like, how Facebook has their little marketplace? It's kind of like that, but not really. I would say Etsy is more catered towards the hippies, organics, the ones that are all natural, artistic type of people. Funny enough, it's the kind of place where if you do leather work and you want to sell a leather wallet, or if you make paintings or drawings and you sell stuff like that, that's where you go, not Amazon or eBay. So Etsy has their own little niche of a market. Funny enough, my wife, she's huge into knitting, right? And she likes making these cute little things that you can wear, like scarves, hats, gloves, and that's something that she does for fun. She just sells it on Etsy, and every single time she posts something for sale, it sells within 24 hours. So I think it's pretty hilarious that there's such a thing as Etsy. But yeah, would I ever invest into them? Probably not. Not really my thing. But what else do we have on Wednesday? We have Garmin, which if you are a runner or if you do mountain biking or anything, you probably know what this company is, right? They make all sorts of little gadgets and wearables with GPS, and it's a pretty cool company. Would I invest into them? No. What else do we have? We have Fiverr International, which is a place where you can kind of hire someone, which low-key, between you and me, I absolutely despise editing for YouTube. It is so monotonous and a boring of a task. If you don't know, I have ADD, ADHD, depression, you name it, a mental illness, I've got it. And one thing that I absolutely hate doing is spending 8 hours a day editing. So one of the first investments that I'm going to make to pour back into this channel once we start getting bigger and the money starts coming in, because I barely make pennies to the video, right? Once that starts happening though, I'm going to try to hire a video editor. That way we can increase the amount of videos that we're putting out, and for the video itself to be a little more high quality. Because I get it, right now, you're literally listening to a podcast, someone who's just talking to you. And I guess it resonates with some people, but I would argue for the 99% of the people out there whose brains are cooked, right? When you see a content like mine, Dividend compounders with cheese, you're probably like, what the hell? Because you need something to be popping up on your screen every 3 to 5 seconds. Otherwise, your attention span just goes right out the window. But yeah, Fiverr International, you can, it's a platform where you can find independent contractors to do video editing, for voiceover acting, just all bunch of random stuff, life coaches if you're into that kind of thing. There's also Wingstop. Which, funny story, I have a buddy that I grew up with, knows nothing about the stock market, but he knows you should invest. So he went balls deep, I think at 20, 30 grand into Wingstop because he liked eating there. It was his favorite place to eat chicken wings. So he put a bunch of money into it, and 5 years later, he 3 or 4x'd his money. So really funny. I think Wingstop is quite literally the definition of Peter Lynch's, 10x bagger. They're also reporting, we have Cinemark, which whenever I think about the movie industry and landscape in America and across the world in general, it breaks my heart to see it makes sense why movie theaters are not thriving, because everyone is just, buying on demand and watching and streaming, the same content that you would pay to go watch in a movie theater for at your comforts of your own home. So you could be the freak that you are, be butt-ass naked on your couch, and you can watch whatever you want. It has a sentimental place in my heart, right? My friends and I, every Friday, we used to go to the movie theaters and just watch movies. And, silly, but between us, our little circle of friends, we would give little reviews like what we thought about it, what was the hidden message, is it 7 out of 10, 9 out of 10, will we watch it again, will we recommend it? But, as I got older, I found that I naturally just stopped going to the movie theaters. And in 2024, I think I went to the movie theater just once, which pretty sad because in my youth, I probably went in a minimum 52 times a year. Now as an adult, 2024, I think the movie that I watched in theater was Dune 2, which if you're into sci-fi and fantasy and everything, I think it'll be right up your butthole. It's not bad. It's not the greatest movie. It's kind of slow, but I think the, what do you call it? The cinematography, the acting, and the storyline is pretty good. It's just not like a John Wick where someone gets their throat slashed every 5 minutes. But Dune, I think, is a pretty good movie series. On my little library app called Libby, where you can rent free books and audiobooks, I've been queued up for Dune for the past 6 months, and I'm still waiting to get the book because I heard the book is pretty good too. So I'm gonna give that a try. But anyways, what else do we have Wednesday? We have Manchester United, which is one of the biggest football club franchises around the world. Would I ever invest into them? Absolutely not. But it's there, right? If you're interested in that and you think that's a cool idea, I would suggest no. But it's there, Manchester United. And then I highlighted this one. It's called Remitly Global, ticker symbol RELI. Not because I am interested in investing into them, but I don't know, maybe Thursday or Wednesday, I was looking into Western Union because they reported their earnings last week, and that company is just struggling right now, right? I think they're at their 100-year low, the lowest price they've been for the longest time. And after I was doing my research on how Western Union is doing, not because I want to invest into them, but because I'm kind of curious about them, right? I don't know. That's something weird about me. Even if I'm not really interested in buying something or doing something, I still like doing deep dives and researching. One thing that I do is I like to watch videos about camping. Not because I'm gonna anytime soon pack up my bags and go on a 3-day backpacking trip to camp out in the woods here in Japan. But I don't know, I just like learning about, how to start a fire, how to catch a rodent to eat and roast. You don't eat the eyeballs, you don't eat the balls, you don't eat the tail. Little things like that. But I digress. I got off track right there. Remitly Global is basically what Western Union wants to be. Because Western Union is a place that, I guess they're more so successful because of their footprint, physical locations where you can physically go talk to a person and cash a check or withdraw cash. You can transfer that cash from the US to over to Honduras, wherever it is that your family is originally from. And they basically provide a banking service to those that cannot make an account in the country that they're currently working in, quote unquote, illegal immigrants, right? And that's Western Union's business model in a nutshell. Made a pretty big video talking, I think it was over an hour long, just talking about what Western Union does. But basically, Western Union is now trying to pivot towards becoming a digital platform. That way they can kind of future-proof themselves. Because I think as of right now, like cash is king in certain industries, right? Like bartenders, strippers, servers, illegal immigrants. But for the most part, I think a lot more people are transitioning to using digital payment forms, right? And so Remitly Global is literally what Western Union wants to be. It's a digital version of what Western Union does. It allows money transfers from point A to point B. It doesn't matter what country you're in. And depending on the agents, the Remitly Global agent, whether it's based in Nicaragua or Costa Rica, you can go up to them and cash out whatever someone sent to you from Canada or Germany or from the US. And I think it's a very interesting story because when you look at the stock price chart for Western Union versus Remitly Global, it's literally inverse. Like Remitly Global is reaching a new 52-week high, whereas Western Union is reaching a new 52-week low consistently week over week. It's kind of sad. What else do we got on Wednesday? We also have Wolverine Worldwide, which, ticker symbol WWW, you would think it's something based on the internet or like a software platform, but couldn't be further from the truth. This is a company that is in the business of shoes. And funny story about Wolverine. When I was taking my accounting classes, this was one of two companies that we looked into in order to learn how to read a 10K on how to digest and dissect their balance sheet of like how the total assets equals the total liabilities, and you just have to manipulate the numbers. And that's when I learned that when it comes to numbers in corporate America, a lot of it is manipulated and modified to the point where you need to look at metrics outside of the balance sheet, outside of GAAP, the GAAP realm. Like when you start looking at things such as the free cash flow, when you start looking at things such as like the dividend growth rate, those are things they can't manipulate. Like you either have the cash on hand, you're either profitable enough to do this or you can't. But anyways, it was a pretty interesting company to learn about because prior to that accounting class, I had never heard of Wolverine Worldwide. Some of their biggest shoe brands, I'm a huge fan of Saucony, which is a running shoe label that's under them, and they're just kicking the ass of Nike right now. Every running shoe brand is literally punching Nike right in the face. When we talk about Hoka One Ones, we talk about Adidas, talk about Saucony or Brooks. Nike is losing the sex appeal and the status symbol that they've had for the past 3 decades. And I made a video talking about that. I was like, dude, I wouldn't touch Nike with a 20-foot pole. You might think they're undervalued, but I think they have a lot more to go in terms of falling. I think that company is going to be struggling for years to come. Could be wrong, because remember, I'm an idiot. I'm the same type of idiot that tried to make a lesbian love me. So I could be wrong. I'm stupid like that. But talking about Wolverine, what else do they have? They have Merrell, which, believe it or not, I think is one of the best boot shoe brands that you can buy if you're into hiking at all. And they also make Bates boots, which, funny enough, right now they cater towards law enforcement, security, police officers, and everything. But the first pair of boots that I got in the military was a Bates brand, and it was so crappy because it was a budget-oriented one, right? They don't really care about what kind of boots they give you, they issue you. So yeah, that's Wolverine in a nutshell. Would I be interested in them? Absolutely not. I think if someone were holding a hammer to my kneecap and was like, pick one or I'll smash your knees. If I had to pick a shoe company right now, I know they don't pay a dividend, but you got to forgive me, okay? I'm not a racist. But I would probably go with Crocs. I think Crocs, their financials and fundamentals, absolutely phenomenal. But I think what's happening is there's a narrative on Wall Street that the Crocs footwear is just all hype, and one day it's just going to come crashing and burning anytime soon. And so that's the narrative they believe in, whereas Crocs just keeps kicking ass quarter after quarter. So my pick would be Crocs. And then also, I think maybe a close second would be Decker Brands, right? Hoka One One. Me personally, I don't like them. I think there's way too much cushion and foam going on for me to like it. But I think it really depends on what kind of foot responsiveness you want from your running shoe. I think it's like a preference thing. Because when I think about like VF Core, because another close second would be VF Core. I think most people associate it with like North Face and Supreme. But I think of VF Core for Ultras. Right, with an A. I was literally about to say Altria, the tobacco company, but I'm saying Ultra. They make wide toe boxed, zero drop running shoes for people that have wide feet like me. I have literally gorilla feet. As a Korean dude, like I feel like most Koreans and Japanese people, we have like monkey gorilla feet where it's wide. And so, yeah, try squeezing your feet into a Nike shoe. It's not fun. So I guess that's probably another reason why I don't like Nikes. But anyways, I went on a way too long of a rant right there. Let's see, what else do we have? We have Bosch and Lomb, basically a monopoly in the eye contact solution and contact lens space. Would I be interested in them? Absolutely not. And then we also have American Waterworks, right? I feel like there's a few industries and sectors that are all absolutely undervalued right now because of the high inflationary environment, meaning the interest rates are high. So consequently, there's sectors that are suffering because they require loans or a lot of CapEx in order to grow. Case in point, utilities, real estate, and I don't know. I feel like there's another one that it's missing off. It's at the tip of my tongue. I can't think of it right now, but companies that require a lot of loans in order to, maintain or grow their factories or the amount of buildings that they have. Utilities, I feel like the biggest winner for me right now is American Waterworks. And I'm not just saying that because I'm invested into them. Ticker symbol AWK, like that awkward turtle that you are. I think it's cheap right now because they disclosed like a year or two ago that they're going to have to increase their CapEx endeavors, which, funny enough, didn't Google and Microsoft literally just say the same thing like a week or two ago? Hey, Wall Street, we're going to have to increase our CapEx. And then what happened? Wall Street took a dull pair of scissors and started chopping off all their hair. They're like, absolutely not. And Google and Microsoft are on this like unjustified sell-off right now. And funny enough, when it comes to Microsoft, for the past 1 year, they're flat. You literally got nothing from Microsoft when it comes to the stock price appreciation except their tiny little dividend. But one thing's for sure, the market hates when a company has to increase their proposed CapEx spending. And so that's what's going on with American Waterworks. But otherwise, their financials and fundamentals for a utility, they're in the business of purifying and treating water. They're a solid-ass company. Financials and fundamentals, really good. Dividend profile, spectacular. And some other stuff that recently happened with them, they closed a $230 million acquisition of like the sewer company based in Pennsylvania, which added 15,000 more customers to their portfolio. So I think it's one of the best pound for pound water treatment companies in the US. What's a good price? For me personally, I'm picking up shares and dollar cost averaging whenever they're below like 122, 121 a share. But that's me. Also, remember, I'm an idiot, so just take what I said with a grain of salt. That's my game plan. And we have Carvana, Cheesecake Factory, which I feel really disappointed. Like, Cheesecake Factory is one of those restaurants that I believe in. Why? Not because of the Cheesecake Factory, like what they're known for, but because they have a whole portfolio of bougie-ass, independent, hipster-like restaurants in their portfolio that I think are going to be crushing it for years to come. And I did a deep dive talking about cheesecake, and I just never had the opportunity to buy into them. So I always felt like, in Korean, we say, ashul, regretful, the fact that I never could pick up some shares. But I think it's a solid-ass restaurant company. It's probably one of the best ones since the pandemic recovery, in my opinion. And then there's also Blue Owl Capital, which was one of the BDC's business development companies that were featured in my BDC ranking video. And at the time, one of the platforms that I was using to look up information about Blue Owl, it said like, oh, their dividend yield is 6%, which is absolutely false because their dividend yield is closer to 9 to 10%. But anyways, it's not the best BDC in the world, but it's absolutely not the worst. As a matter of fact, I think it's like above average. I think my rating for it, I mean, my memory could be bad here, but I think it was like a C plus or maybe like a B minus. So for me, I think that's pretty good. And it's a company where if the price is right, I would buy into it. So that's why I have that one highlighted, because I currently do not have any BDCs in my portfolio. And who knows, it might be the first one to be a part of my portfolio. So we'll see what happens. I think this is a perfect segue for me to talk about how, as a dividend investor, I feel like one of the prerequisites to become a dividend investor is your hairline needs to be receding, right? Or you have to be bald. The other day, I started looking at my forehead, something I don't really do, because I spent my 20s being very vain, right? And, micromanaging the way that I looked, scrutinizing every little detail about my face whenever there was a mirror possible. But now that in my 30s, I literally stopped caring. But I just feel like I noticed that my hairline is starting to recede. And I was like, damn, dude, this sucks. The inevitable death of luscious, thick hair. And I was like, man, that kind of sucks. But I feel like it's awesome on another level, because I feel like every dividend investor has a receding hairline, or like the back of their head is balding. And I think maybe it's something that just, that we all have in common. We have small PPs, our hairline's balding, and I think it's perfect because if you think about it, we get to save money. Because I don't know, what's the going rate right now for a haircut? The last time I got a haircut in the US, I think it was like $15 plus tip was like 20, something like that, right? So I don't know, we'll go with $20. And if you get a haircut every, 2 weeks? Then if you times that by 26, talking about $500 a year in haircuts. But as a dividend investor, I feel like if you're bald, you don't have to spend that money on haircuts at all, right? I always found that a little puzzling, perplexing when there was like a bald-ass dude walking into the barbershop asking for, hey, can you trim me up? And it's like, dude, you're bald. What the hell? You're going to spend $20 right now. And then I found out it's not necessarily the haircut that they want. It's the companionship, the community, a place where he can just talk and be pampered for a little bit. Right? Because usually, like, good barbers, man, they'll make you feel sexy. They'll put a warm towel on your face, massage your head a little bit, play with your earlobes, whisper in your ear. But yeah, saving money is a good thing, because when you're bald, you don't need to pay for the haircuts. And so consequently, you can buy more shares of the companies that you believe in. Or, this is why I said this is the perfect time for me to mention this, or you can use some of that money saved to support me on Patreon. Dude, listen, if you're a fan of this channel, if you like how there's one guy out here that infuses a sense of humor, into the stock market space, then please consider supporting me. And I promise it'll be worth your time if you check out the Patreon, because I put exclusive ass stuff up there that I will never share on YouTube, okay? Anyways, let's move on to Thursday, because I feel like a lot of you are probably like, dude, I'm never going to put a single dime investing into you, no matter how much value I gain from you, because I'm selfish. I know there's people like that. So let's just move on to Thursday. Take, but I never want to give. I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing you. I'm busting your balls, my friend. Thursday, I think, is pretty wild, because when you look at this slide, there's a ton of heavy hitters here, right? We've got Alibaba, which I've said this so many times, and it's an unpopular opinion. I would never invest into a Chinese company, because you truly don't have transparency, and their government can literally interfere with business and economic activities. So if Alibaba, no matter how promising their future looks, I'm not interested, right? And I think it's the Chinese equivalent of Amazon. So if you believe in Amazon, this is not a bad company. Just not for me, not for dividend compounders with cheese. And then we have Walmart, not really interested, but obviously it's a good way to get a pulse check on how the consumers are doing with their retail spending. High inflationary environments, you'll have the bougie ass people that usually go to a Target literally downgrade and shop at Walmart instead. So Walmart is a very interesting play, but it's also a consensus of how America as a whole is doing. If they don't crush their earnings, I'm not a fortune teller, but if they do not crush their earnings, every other retailer under the sun, Costco, Target included, are going to go on a sell-off with Walmart. But I feel like Walmart's going to crush. They've just been a phenomenal business for the past, I want to say like 50 years. Obviously, the brand itself might not be the most sexiest, but it's such a well-run, efficient operation. We have Wayfair, which they do online furniture sales. So it's like the Amazon, except they sell you the same junk furniture. And I don't know about you and me, there's a lot of stuff that I'm willing to buy online, okay, without trying on. Like a pair of pants, I know my size, okay? I know my measurements, my fat beer belly, I know what's going on. I don't mind buying a pair of pants online or buying a new iPhone straight off of the Apple website. I don't mind that. But when it comes to furniture, dude, I can't. I need to go into a physical brick and mortar furniture store in order to figure out what the hell am I about to throw $3,000 down for? Is this leather couch gonna be the one that's gonna make my fat ass feel comfortable, or is it gonna feel, artificial and the springs are all just gonna be jamming right up my butt cheeks? So Wayfair for me, it's such a stupid reason. But because me personally, I would never use it, I feel like there's a lot of people out there who also feel the same way. I haven't looked into their financials. I don't know about their fundamentals. But I don't even know if they're profitable, if we're going to be honest with one another. That's Wayfair. And then there's also Jumia Tech. And you can think of this as the African Amazon. So Amazon, as far as I'm concerned, they don't really have a footprint in Africa. So that's where Jumia comes into play. They're trying to become the e-commerce giant of Africa. And there's some people out here, bless their heart. They're saying, oh, Africa is the next gold, boom, the next generation to become billionaires. And the thing is, that narrative has been happening for like the past 100 years. It hasn't come into fruition yet. I'm not trying to say that their GDP or their economy sucks, but what I'm trying to say is I don't know. Because 50 years ago, Korea used to be one of the poorest countries around the world, right? I think it was almost ranked to dead last. And now South Korea has one of the richest GDPs. I think it's top 10. So maybe Africa as a whole, the continent, maybe they can have a turnaround story like South Korea. But me personally, dude, I'm not bullish on Africa. I'm really not. I'm also not bullish on India. It's not that I'm being mean or I'm unreasonable. It's just I don't have a reason to believe that it's going to be the next big thing. And I know that's a very ignorant generalization to make about Africa and India as a whole. I believe in China. I think that growth story, I think it's believable. Dude, they're crushing it right now, China. I believe in the growth story for most of Europe, for most of Southeast Asia. We talk about Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, Philippines. I believe in that growth story. I really do. And so if you do, the Amazon of Southeast Asia is Kupang. But anyways, Jumia Tech, not really my thing. We also have Shake Shack, which tastes pretty good. But between you and me, dude, you're spending like $13 for a burger meal here. And the portion sizes are absolute ass. Absolute ass. You could literally spend $6 to get a whole meal, and you have better portion sizes at In-N-Out. Unfortunately, there's no In-N-Out here in Asia, but my goodness, if you live in the West Coast in the US, or if you're thinking about vacationing in the US in the next 2 or 4 years, you gotta make your way to an In-N-Out to see what the hype is all about. Phenomenal burgers. But anyways, Shake Shack, they operate as a premium burger joint. So they know they don't want the customer who's, concerned about how much they're spending. They want the customers who don't give a damn what the price is on the menu. Here's my card. Swipe. $50 for 2 people to eat out at Shake Shack. That's what they want. And you know what? They're thriving, their business model. And I made a video about McDonald's the other day. It sucked. Nobody wanted to watch it, even though I had so much insight and commentary about why I'm bullish on McDonald's. But anyways, they're copying the playbook from Five Guys and Shake Shack, and they're trying to become a premium burger joint. Are they going to be able to pull it off? I don't know. Only time can tell. But by the way, side note, whenever I pour so much time and energy making a video and I upload it and it barely gets 500 views, dude, as a grown-ass man, my feelings get hurt. I'm like, damn, what the heck? I thought the McDonald's video was pretty good. But anyways, what else do we have on Thursday? We also have Utz Brands, which I'm going to put you on right now. 95% of you have never heard of Utz Brands. I'm guaranteeing that you've never heard of it before this. They're in the business of making snacks and chips. And they're predominantly, I don't know if they partner with every retailer, because I could only find Utz branded chips in like local grocery stores. So the investing thesis, probably not the greatest. But I also think I've seen Utz on East Coast Costco warehouses. But basically, it's like this, this little girl with a bowl cut is like their logo. And I think Utz makes probably one of the best chips. And I know that's controversial because I'm a PepsiCo investor. And if you're invested into a company, you should always be conniving and deceiving and say, oh, whatever you own is like, if you own Tesla stock, be like, oh, Tesla cars are the best. So I should be like, oh, Pepsi chips are the best. But dude, if I'm going to be honest with you, and that's how friendship really develops, honesty, I think Utz Brands chips, the best. And it's the most affordable in the snacks aisle. I don't think I've ever seen Utz chips when I lived in California, but on the East Coast, pretty solid. I'm telling you right now, if you've always walked by a bag of Utz chips, you got to try it out, dude. It's got like that crispy, thin, light crunch to it that it's just hard to describe. I don't know if they have kettle cooked chips, but the normal chips that they make, any flavor, dude, even salt and vinegar slaps. So Utz Brands, pretty good. We also have HF Sinclair, also in the oil and gas field. I did a deep dive on them, and they're not bad. Just like Murphy, it's not bad, but it's not something that would make you feel comfortable like Devon Energy. So if I were to invest into an oil and gas, it would be Devon Energy. HF Sinclair, they're okay. We also have Severn Company, which is a utility. There's Hasbro, which is the other. Remember how I said there was two companies that we dissected in order to learn about how to do accounting principles? Hasbro is the other one. On surface value, it just looks like they make, toys for toddlers, but there's so much more than that, right? Hasbro also does board games. They also are in the Dungeons and Dragons franchise space. It's a pretty solid company. Would I invest into them? I think like 7 years ago or whatever it was when I was learning about Hasbro through the accounting class. It was a pretty good company then. But since then, I didn't really look into it because I don't know. I'm not really interested in investing into a toy company. Like, what's the bullish sentiment surrounding toys? I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't have kids yet. Maybe one day when I have kids, my perspective will change and I start looking at toys differently when I see how much parents spend every damn Christmas, every Hanukkah, every Thanksgiving, getting little Timmy that new Transformers toy that he's been begging about, and he stops playing with it after 48 hours, and it's like a waste of money. But who knows? Maybe I'll become bullish on toys one day. And then we also have Block, which when you look at it, it's kind of confusing, right? It's like, what, ticker symbol XYZ? What the hell is this? Formerly known as Square. It's a payment processing company. If you're going to be doing anything related to payment processing that's not Visa, MasterCard, or American Express, I would argue PayPal would be the better route, but Block isn't bad as well. There's also Rivian, which is kind of like the premium version of Tesla, wherever the hell that means. There's Booking, not interested. There's Dropbox, which I don't understand how this company is still alive. And I say that because Google and Microsoft has made it more easier than ever to sign up for their cloud-based services where you can upload all of your photos and videos of your little dog, which I don't have an Amazon Prime account, but funny because I have a Costco membership, but apparently Amazon, if you have the Prime membership, you're allowed to upload like unlimited photos. And I think that's their way of, we gotcha. Because I think like 5 years down the road, they're going to start charging people. Because once you have like, I don't know, your entire family album and your hairline receding throughout the years uploaded onto Amazon's cloud, they're going to charge you. They're going to be like, dude, you got to start paying us. Otherwise, we're going to delete all of this. So there's truly nothing ever free when it comes to these greedy-ass corporations. But that's why I invest into the stock market. If you can't beat them, you might as well join them. If they're going to be profitable and growing year after year, I want some of that money too. I'm a poor-ass dude. I'm a normal guy. I wasn't born with a trust fund or into nepotism. I was literally grown in poverty. And that's why I understand. You can't just hate the game. You got to play the game if you want. Literally, these corporations, the CEOs and all the rich folks in America, they're getting like 95% of all the profits and the money. And then the poor people like you and me, we get the leftovers. But it's better for me to get some of the leftovers than to get nothing at all. And that's why I choose to invest into the stock market. That's like 7% of my psychology of why I do it. And then there's also Texas Roadhouse. I have it highlighted because this is a company that I think is fundamentally sound, right? They're financially fantastic. Everything is good. It's just, I'm coming to a point where I want to sell out of them because I'm so much in the green that I want to use that capital in order to buy, more shares of food CPG companies that I was talking about earlier that are on the sell-off, that are on the dip. Not because like Texas Roadhouse, I don't believe in them or anything, but it's just, I've been holding on to Texas Roadhouse for like close to 8 years or something like that. And I feel like it might be time for me to sell out of it. So if they crush and they go to like $200 a share or whatever, I'm just throwing a number right out of my ass. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I'm going to sell out of it. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use those gains to buy more shares of, whatever is on my watch list. And I guess I skipped over Sprouts Farmers Market, which is a grocery chain for the rich and bougie. I went there one time by mistake with my wife, and like a freaking gallon of milk, organic milk, was like $20. I was like, what the hell is this? And everyone in there, right? The parking lot was filled with like Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, Lexus. It's catered for the rich folk. So if it comes to a grocery chain, I feel like the clientele that's going to be as steady as that, I think it's pretty good, right? When you're driving a freaking Mercedes-Benz and you make 300 grand, I don't think you're going to be, pulling back on your spending at the grocery. I think you're going to, if you want your organic milk, that's $20, you're going to get your organic milk, that's $20. And that's something that I used to tell people all the time, right? Like if you made enough money in the stock market and you think it's good enough to take a screenshot to brag, it might be time for you to sell and lock in those gains and then use that money and buy into something boring like a grocery stock. I used to say that to people off camera, off of YouTube, my personal friends and family. I'd be like, dude, just buy into a grocery because people need to eat tomorrow, 20 years from now, 100 years from now, groceries, right? The most boring and most stable business model. Would Sprouts be at the top of that list? I don't know. Me personally, if I were to invest into the groceries, it would be right here. Ticker symbol WMT. Walmart, year after year, is literally just increasing their market share of the groceries in the U.S., which I think is pretty bonkers. So I remember there was a rhetoric even like 15 years ago. People were like, ooh, I would never shop at Walmart. But now people are finding out like, damn, dude, the prices at Walmart, pretty good. And you get pretty good value. And isn't that the off-brand label? Great value? Pretty funny, right? Yeah, so if I were to buy a grocery, I would buy into Walmart. There's also VICI properties. I do not believe in their future, right? I'm not bullish on Las Vegas. I'm really not. But on paper, I cannot deny the fact that their financials and fundamentals, really good for a REIT. Pretty solid. However, in the space and realm of REITs, I would rather just buy more shares of Realty Income Corporation, ticker symbol O. I would not touch VICI. I'm not bullish on casinos. I'm really not. And then let's see what we got on Friday. Friday, not much going on. right? Literally just one company that I think might interest some people to rate, but for me, not interested. There you have it, folks. That wraps up another week of stocks that are reporting their earnings. Which companies are you going to be looking at? Which companies do you own? What do you think is going to happen? Anyways, I love you guys, and if you made it to this point in the video, dude, just please give me a chance, right? Click on my link to Patreon. Would you just consider, right, becoming a member of one of the tier buckets? Even the lowest to the highest, any of them, I would be super thankful, man. If not, I hear ya. It's whatever. I love you. Stay safe. And I'll talk to you next time. Peace.